welcome to C.A.R.S. Cars and relevant specs. Well, I decided it was time to go ahead and do a video to give you all an update of what I've been working on lately and how everything has been going, and to explain a little bit about why there has been a little bit of a change and a pause, you could say, with my videos. So I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate every one of my subscribers. I'm so glad to have the ones that I have, and I'm so glad to see various comments, even on some of my older videos. That has been really exciting, and I've enjoyed the comments as well as being able to respond to those comments. So thank you, everyone. Well, to let you know what I've been up to for the most part, my actual paid job, and just so you know, I am not getting paid anything, no monetization for my YouTube channel at this time. Who knows, maybe sometime in the future. I'm not sure if I'm going to go that route, but we'll see what happens. You never know, I suppose. But as far as my actual work, so I am employed by TJX companies. So TJX, they are the parent company, if you will, behind TK Maxx in the United Kingdom, as well as TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Home Goods, C.A.R.S, and HomeSense in the United States. So I work at one of those stores locally as essentially a supervisor and occasionally manager on duty. And I enjoy a lot of aspects of that job. Certainly keeps me busy. And thankfully my commute is not a terribly long distance. But, you know, it takes a bit of time. So that's what I've been doing full time. And I have a bit of time off right now, so I figured it was a great opportunity to do a video. And now, besides that, for fun, other than, as you can expect from my C.A.R.S YouTube channel, other than things related to cars and performance specifications and all of that, I also have been enjoying a lot of amateur radio, also called ham radio. Now, you probably saw a little bit of that in one of my Just for Fun videos, where I did my version, if you will, of the Back to the Future scene with the amplifier. Well, I don't have gigawatts of power, as they called it in the movie, but I do have 800 plus watts of power with the amplifier. So that's been a lot of fun. In fact, my brother Michael gave me an amateur radio, ham radio hat for Christmas. This is what it looks like. So that's that one. And my call sign is AC7WH. In the international phonetics, that would be Alpha Charlie 7 Whiskey Hotel. So if any of you ever listen to the short waves, or HF as we ham radio operators call it, then you might hear me as AC7WH. And there's more information out there about me on a website called QRZ, or QRZ as we say in the United States, QRZ.com. And for any current ham radio operators, you can log in and you can communicate. It's almost like a social media platform for ham radio operators. So anyhow, as far as what that's all about, for those who know a lot more about cars than about ham radio, basically it's a way of communicating without the need for cell phones, without the need for essentially any external infrastructure, depending on which type of ham radio communications you get into. There are some that depend more on repeater towers, which are much more like cell phone towers, and they may even depend on the internet if you do remote operations linking through the internet. You can even use satellites and so forth. But what I primarily do myself is I just use about as much power as a small toaster might use, and a little antenna that is collapsible down to just a few feet long, and it telescopes out basically like a big FM antenna up to a little over 8 feet or a few meters for those who are familiar with the metric system. And I'm able to set that up and take it down very quickly, thankfully. And with that, I've reached as far away as a station in Mendoza, Argentina. That's about 6,300 miles from here, just by using that little antenna in my backyard that just weighs a few pounds or so, and just put it up, take it down when I'm done, and we're good to go. No big, crazy unsightly antenna for a residential area where I live, so it makes it easy. So with that, I may talk more about ham radio because it is one of my big hobbies besides cars and performance specifications, auto racing, and all of that sort of thing that I like to watch and research. But anyhow, for those who are more interested in the cars side of things, which goes along with the title of the channel, go figure, that is something that I have been thinking about in regard to what the future holds for the automotive industry, and then also for my personal interests in cars. So as far as my own personal interest, let's start with that. I am quite interested in the technical side of cars. So for those who have followed my channel, you may recall that my first car in 1999 was essentially a project car. It was a low-powered Subaru, 1986 Subaru GL, what they used to call the Leon in certain markets and so forth. Very low power, like 90 horsepower and all of that. But it was a great project car. I learned a lot. The horizontally opposed flat four or boxer engine, as it's sometimes called, that was a lot of fun to work on. I like the concept behind it. I like the balance of that engine and so forth. So I had that car for several years. And again, that was 1999 that I purchased that one. And I've had everything from that to a 425 horsepower Dodge Charger, as you saw information about in one of my videos perhaps, and little Nissan 370Z sports car, and I've had an SUV, the turbocharged Subaru Forester, which has essentially the Subaru WRX turbocharged engine in it, a little bit different top end, but higher boost pressure, those sorts of things. So I would find something to like, especially on the technical side of things, for basically every car that I have owned. So right now I have the Mazda 6 and really enjoy that. It gets pretty good gas mileage. I wish it got a little bit more gas mileage and had a little bit larger fuel tank, because it seems like I'm always fueling up, even though I have a relatively short commute. It takes me about 15 minutes to get to work. So it's nice. It's definitely nice, but I wish I had maybe another couple gallons or so of fuel available, or several more gallons of the fuel economy, miles per gallon. So anyway, but as far as for the future, I really have my eye on the Mazda rotary engine, and even though I wish there was a Mazda rotary engine sports car, it would be nice to at least get back into the rotary market, if you will. There was a time when I was very interested in the RX-8 when that was still being produced, but it wasn't really for me at that time. But now the Mazda MX-30 that has that really short range, all-electric range, which is fine for someone with a short commute like myself, but there are limitations, of course, on electric only with such a short range, small battery, and all of that. So it would still be practical for me personally, but I realize for a lot of consumers, it's not really going to meet their needs. So I'm interested in the one with the generator that does not power the wheels, but it's still a rotary engine where it can maximize the efficiency of that rotary engine. And so again, I love the technology, the specifications, even though it's not super sporty, it's not a high acceleration type of plug-in hybrid vehicle, but it has the practicality of being electric and have the backup generator, so you can run it off of gasoline for that generator that's a rotary engine, which I find fascinating. I think that's cool Mazda history. And then also besides that, uh, being able to have the alternative of doing the electric charging at home or at a charger, I think that's really nice, especially because there are a lot of different changes that are happening in regard to infrastructure and so forth. So that's something that I think is fascinating. I also think it's really interesting how Dodge is phasing out their old style Dodge Charger, Dodge Challenger, and getting ready for their electrified future. So I am more interested in internal combustion engines for a design principle and for the interest of how all of that works and the performance that comes from that, the sounds of the engines and so forth. But I certainly have an appreciation for the electric side of things as well. And I see advantages and disadvantages for both as the conversations tend to go, whether it be pricing, whether it be manufacturing costs and the pollution factors involved with the sourcing of the materials and the refining and the production of the vehicles, the batteries, the engines, the petrol or oil, petroleum fuel, however you want to say that. All of those have their pros and cons, their advantages and disadvantages. So those are some things that I'm looking at. And one thing I will just mention, though, in a summary, is part of the reason that I have gone away from my YouTube channel for a while is because my hard drive, which is part of a custom built HP desktop computer that I had built several years ago or so from HP, at the time I opted for a small solid state drive because of the advantages of that solid state drive. But since then, the operating system has updated and updated and updated, and now I have less than 30 gigabytes of available space on the drive, and that's after deleting my automation game, which I used for a lot of my demonstrations and discussions on my YouTube channel. Now, automation has gone through an amazing update recently, and I'm looking forward to checking into that in the future. But until I decide what I want to do with a hard drive, whether I want to purchase another internal hard drive or an external hard drive or both, it's not really practical to be able to re-download that game. I don't have to repurchase it, of course. It's already purchased. I just need to download it again. I have a Steam account. I can do that no problem, except I need the hard drive space, and there's very little on my hard drive besides the operating system. So you can imagine it's a pretty small hard drive. But without the automation game, I have almost 30 gigs free, and so there's no problem there. But now I have to decide, okay, is it worth it just for that automation game to get a new hard drive, or do I want to hold out until I have less space overall? Well, anyhow, those are some thoughts, but thank you everyone, and hope everyone's having a great 2023 with many wonderful things to look forward to in this new year. Well, thank you again, everyone, and hope to see you again sometime on C.A.R.S.